Hi, I'm Charity from Accessible Nutrition. I'm one of the co-authors of a cookbook called Easy Healthy Tasty to help you in the kitchen. Thanks for joining me. Tonight we're going to be cooking chicken and spinach pesto pasta. Now I've just made some fresh pesto, but you don't have to use that in this recipe. You can buy some sort of chunky pesto dip or a jar of pesto, whatever takes your fancy. But if you're interested in finding out how to make your own basil pesto, keep your eyes on the Easy Healthy Tasty Facebook channel, because there might just be a video coming up there where we make the pesto that we're using for tonight's dinner. Now I've already got a pot on to cook in, I've got a pot of water on, boiling or trying to boil in the background there to cook some pasta in, and I've got my fry pan on, so let's get started. The first thing you're going to need to do is cut up an onion. Now ideally I would have done this before the Facebook Live, so please excuse any tears if they happen to pop up. But all I'm going to do is top and tail this onion. I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to peel it and give it a chop. If this is something that's a bit too tricky for you, don't worry. In our cookbook, there's a whole page of no-chop cooking hacks. And the one for onion is that you can often buy pre-chopped onion in the frozen section at the supermarket. So you can use that if chopping is a bit hard, or if you just hate cutting up onions, or if you don't have time to do that tonight, anything like that. For any reason, it's up to you. You can use the pre-chopped version, but I'm going to cut it up myself tonight because at the moment sometimes there's a bit of a limit on how much frozen vegetables you can buy, and I would prefer to buy my other frozen vegetables and cut my onion myself, but that's just me. So we're just going to chop this up fairly roughly, try not to cut myself. Now I have already washed my hands, so don't worry about that. If you're looking for a tutorial on how to do that, again, head to our Facebook page. It's on the Facebook page, or our YouTube channel, and you can watch that. You can see here this is not particularly even chopping. Really doesn't matter for home cooking unless that's important to you, and if it is, then by all means make it more even. Alright, so that's had a bit of a chop. I'm going to add a little bit of oil to my frying pan, and then I'm going to add this to get it softening a bit while we chop up the chicken. So I've got just a little bit of oil there in my pan. It's already hot, ready to go. There. Just grab myself a spoon. Now there's a tiny little bit of skin that's gone in there, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, those onions are getting to me. Alright. We're going to put the lid on to keep some moisture in there, because we don't really want them to fry too much. We want them to soften up and have it, I guess, develop their sweetness. So the next thing we're going to do is cut up our chicken. Now I've just got a couple of chicken breasts here for our family. Now we probably only need one, actually. I don't think we're going to need two, because this is a huge chicken. In fact, there's 3 of them in there. That would be why it looked like there was so much. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to cut this bit off here, because I don't need that fat or tendon or whatever it is in our dinner tonight. And then we're going to slice this chicken up and then dice it. Again, if cutting up things is difficult for you, you can usually buy pre-sliced chicken in the supermarkets. So you could buy, sometimes they call it stir-fry chicken, and that's kind of cut up into really thin strips. You could use that. Or if you really wanted to, you could just use chicken thighs and then not worry about cutting them up if you want to. The choice is yours. But I'm just going to dice up these chicken breasts quickly, and then we're going to add that into our pan as well. And again, this is home cooking, nothing needs to be perfect. I'm just going to dice it up. Okay, and I'm going to add that to our pan as well. First thing I'll do is take off the lid, and I'll give it a stir. Now I'm doing this with my non-chicken hand, the hand that I was holding the knife with, so I keep my spoon nice and clean. And once I put my chicken in, I'm actually going to wash my hands again, very quickly. We'll put our chicken in. Now I will turn the heat up on this a bit because I want this chicken to brown. I don't want it to stew. But you can see that the onion that we put in just a moment ago, it started to soften a bit. If I wasn't doing this as a Facebook Live, probably I would have let it soften a bit more. But trying to do it as fast as I can for all of you. Now I think I can hear the water over there boiling too, so we'll check that out in a second. Alright, I'm going to leave that to brown for a minute. I've turned up the heat. I'll just wash this hand. Sorry everyone. Just going to give these a wash. I especially want to get under my fingernails here because I can feel that I got some chicken under them. Alright. And like I mentioned last week, we have a hand drying only. Tea towel ready to go. Alright, so let's come back and have a look. Now I know that my pot lids get hot, so I'm going to use this oven. Oh, you can see it anyway. So this is boiling. We're going to add some pasta, which I'm going to have to grab out of the cupboard. I'll just give this a little stir. Try and flip over any bits that haven't already turned themselves over. So like this one, you can see it hasn't flipped over at all, so I'm going to, let's stuck to another one. I'm going to flip those over. Oh, there's one here. It's still completely raw on one side. Now because we've cut these pretty small, the chicken's not going to take that long to cook. This one goes over too. Alright, excuse me while I grab some pasta. Alright, tonight we're going to be having pasta shells. This recipe works really well with pasta that's got some good surface area to it. I really like it with bow ties, but at the moment it can be a bit tricky to get all the different types of pastas because things are a bit short in the supermarket. I'm going to add some of this to the pot, if I can open the bag. If not, I will grab a knife and always point it away from myself. Now for our family of 4, I would normally cook not quite half a packet of pasta. But you know your family better than I know your family. And we'll give that a stir and hopefully that comes back to the boil fairly quickly. I've got that up on a high heat, so it should return to the boil quickly. And the best thing about this recipe is that this chicken and spinach sauce should be ready to go by the time that pasta is cooked. Alright, so we'll put that there. That's going to keep doing its thing. If we come back over to our ingredients, we can get the rest of what we need ready. Now we've got our pesto ready to go. We're going to need some extra pine nuts as well. You don't have to use pine nuts. You could use cashews, you could use almonds, you could probably use a whole host of other nuts as well, but those are the ones that I've made this with before. And we've got some spinach. Now I just bought a bag of baby spinach because I know it works well in the recipe, but you don't have to do this. You can get the frozen spinach. You could grow your own spinach and use that too if you wanted. You could probably even substitute silver beet if you find that this is hard to get, although the taste would be a little bit different. You could probably even use kale, I guess. I haven't done it with that though, but you could give it a go. Let's just check back on this chicken super quick. So it's taking its time to cook tonight, and that's okay. It'll be ready soon enough. If you're watching, what are you going to have for dinner tonight? Let me know. I'm open to all inspiration. Actually, I've joined a Facebook group called, I think it's called Recipes in Isolation or something like that. It's a great group because everyone just shares what they're having for dinner tonight, and if there's any story behind it, then they share that too. And I've found that really, really enjoyable to be a part of the last week or so since my mother invited me to join that group. But it's really good because you get to see what other people are having for dinner, and sometimes that can help you feel a bit more inspired and give you some more ideas about what you might have for dinner later in the week or next week. I reckon that's pretty much done. You can see some of the brown on the bottom there. Don't worry, that's just flavour. That's going to add some flavour. And you can see that the chicken is starting to, on pieces like this one and this one, you can see some of them are starting to brown, which is good. That's what we want. We want a little bit of brown on there. So now that this is done, I'm going to add in the spinach. I'm going to use this whole 300 gram bag. If you buy the frozen spinach, you probably need 2 packets of frozen spinach. Now, this looks like an awful lot of spinach for this bag, but if you're used to cooking with spinach, you'll know that it shrinks down a lot. And if you're not used to cooking with spinach, let me show you what happens. So I've not put in the whole packet yet. There's still, I don't know, maybe a third of a packet here. But if I just put the lid on this for a moment, or because this is Facebook Live and I don't really have a moment, if I just grab a little spoon of water from the pasta and pour that on top, that'll kind of help help it along. Maybe 2 spoons of pasta water. And you can see it's starting to wilt. See, it looks like some of the spinach is falling down. If we give this another moment, there'll be plenty of room in that pan to add the rest of the spinach. See, that was full, and now look at it. So we can add the rest now. And I'll give my pasta a stir too, because I don't want it sticking. Put that in. Again, lid on, and that'll keep wilting. Give my pasta a stir over here. It's not ready yet. I can tell that by feel while I'm stirring it. But if you're ever not sure, just take a piece out and give it a try. Okay. This is looking good. This will be ready in no time. Just add 1 more spoon of water. And adding that extra water just creates some extra steam, which helps to wilt the spinach. Now the only 2 things we've got left to add really are the pesto, obviously. And now when I made my pesto, I didn't add any salt or pepper or anything like that. So we will probably add some seasoning to this, and you can do that to taste if you don't add it in with your pesto. But if you are using a dip pesto or a jar of pesto, it probably will already have quite a bit of salt in it. So if you are doing that, before you add any salt to this dish, please taste it, because you might find that you really don't need it. So, can you believe that that is that huge bag of spinach? I haven't taken any out. That's what it has wilted down to. And having added that extra water and the moisture that has come out of the spinach, you can see that most of the brown that was on the bottom of the pan has lifted up and has been incorporated into the liquid that's in there now. So all that flavour that was on the bottom of the pan is now incorporated into the dish. So we're going to add our pesto. So you might look at that at the moment and think, gee Charity, that's not a very nice colour, what's going on there? Well, that's just the pesto, that's the basil that's been exposed to the air. If you look underneath, you'll find a beautiful green colour, which is our lovely tasty pesto. So don't worry if yours does that at home too, if you've made it yourself. So we're just going to add probably 2, maybe 3 tablespoons worth. And if I've got any extra, I can save it for another day. I can freeze it as in ice cube trays, and then pull one out whenever I want to make some pesto pasta. If you're vegetarian, you can just make this recipe without the chicken. And I say that especially because I know that Hayley's watching. I saw that she was there before. And I know that she's a vegetarian. And if you're celiac, you can always use gluten-free pasta. There's nothing to say it has to be normal pasta. You make whatever changes you need to this recipe to suit you. So other than adding some salt and pepper and the pasta, this is done. I'm going to turn the heat off on that, and we'll check our pasta and see. I reckon it's probably pretty close. It's very hot pasta though. Probably needs another minute, I think. I won't bore you. You don't have to watch that. All I'm going to do is finish cooking that pasta, drain it, and then I will add it back in with the sauce and mix it through in the pan. If I need to add any extra moisture, I can always reserve some of the liquid as I'm draining it. If I pour the pot into the colander and then put the colander straight back in the pan, it'll collect some of the water down the bottom, and I can use that to thin out this sauce if I need to. And I will add some pepper and probably a little bit of salt. You could add soy sauce or something like that instead. I know that sounds weird, but I do know that that works in this recipe. And if you're looking for a written version of the recipe, please do check out our cookbook, Easy Healthy Tasty. You can find it on our website, easyhealthytasty.com. You can buy it as a digital version, or you can get a paperback that I will personally send to you and write a thank you note inside. The choice is yours. I hope this has been helpful for you today. Have a great Easter, even though we're in isolation. Please do connect with your friends and family in a physically distant kind of way. We had a lovely Zoom meeting with our extended family this afternoon, which was great, and I will be talking to my parents tomorrow to say Happy Easter to them as well. But Happy Easter to you right now, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.